Eastview Prince Charming is our rising 2-year-old Australian pony. Now, after a fairly uneventful show season of showing him in hand and getting quite a few ribbons under his belt, after we clipped him, we found he had a complete personality makeover. So we thought we might actually bring him back into some sort of very light work. Obviously, rising 2, we don't want to work the pony too hard, but we do need him to behave at competitions so he doesn't learn to act like a little lunatic in public. So this is actually his first time back being lunged and in the Kula Lunge since last year. So I have put the Kula Lunge on without the side reins attached. It's also, he's now being lunged in a bridle rather than the halter, and I think at best he's probably been lunged twice with the bridle on prior to us leaving him be post Ekka for a break and a letdown for him just to be a horse. And as you can see, he's quite feisty at the moment. But by not attaching the side reins, I'm allowing him to have the freedom that he desires to behave in however he wants. As you can see, he's quite above the bit. He's not really listening to me, but that's irrelevant to having the side reins on, although it would give me a little bit more control if I did have the side reins attached. All I want at this stage is for him to go out and work on a circle around me and start to listen before I attach the side reins, so I'm assured that he's comfortable and listening before I start to ask him to work in more of a round, connected frame. The last thing I want to do is make him feel uncomfortable in the Kula Lunge. So now I've attached the side reins, and you can see he is behaving better, but the other reason he's behaving better is because he's actually been worked for a couple of minutes now. So he's actually quite quick to calm down when I do work him, as I found last season when I was giving him some light lunge work, which based on his behaviour at our last comp will be becoming part of our training program now. But what I don't want is for him to be running around, sticking his head in the air, spinning around and going back in the opposite direction, or just being unbalanced. That's actually a way that it can cause injuries. I want him to be balanced and connected, and I want to have a light control of him in both directions. I like to keep these training sessions under 10 minutes. In fact, preferably around 6 minutes. It's a light workout. So I want to be very careful with his very young limbs, but at the end of the day, he also does have a job to do in the show ring. So if I teach him that he can go out in the show ring and behave like a little lunatic, then by the time he gets under saddle, he'll think that's appropriate behaviour. The same as if I teach him that he can behave like a little lunatic on the lunge, then he'll think that's appropriate behaviour, and that then might carry through to under saddle, which is what I'm trying to avoid. So while I don't want to have complete control over him, he's so naughty, I do want him to behave in a civilised manner, and as you can see, attaching the side reins has helped him to work in a more balanced, connected frame. I've attached the side reins to the side ring versus the girth buckle because he's in the small Kula Lunge and he's nearly outgrown it, and I don't want him to feel like he's locked down in the contact. He needs to have that freedom to get his head up if he wants to.